Hello, good morning and good evening, all of you that are participating to this webinar. My name is Marcello Albanese and I'm Sales Director for Europe, Middle East, Africa and Asia Pacific for Navionics. And at this webinar we have John McDonald, who is responsible and sales director for Navionics Australia. I'm also responsible for the agreement with the marine electronic manufacturers on behalf of Navionics. This webinar will be about the new functions that are now available in a number of units manufactured by Lowrance, Simrad and Brooks & Gatehouse. This new function has been put on the market since early February 2017. Some little rules about this webinar. Any attendee can send questions, can type questions through the tools of the webinar itself. Those questions are recorded and will be answered privately after the webinar. This is the normal procedure. However, for the most prominent questions for everybody, we will try to give an answer during the webinar itself. So please send your question typing on your PC. The other thing that I want to remind is that this webinar is recorded. That means after the webinar itself, Navionics will put on our YouTube channels the recording of the webinar. So anybody will be able to see again the webinar and maybe review the information that has been given during the webinar itself. Now, I would like to start, and I would like to invite John to start his, let's say, presentation. Now, John, you can start. You can unmute and turn on your camera and take control of the webinar itself.
Hi everyone, here I am. I'm John McDonald, the Sales Manager for Australia, New Zealand and Asia for Navionics. What we're going to run through tonight is just a presentation on the features that are now found on Simrad, Lowrance and B&G. Quite a few slides I've put together which actually has got some practical how-tos as well as showing some real results of how these can make a big difference to your fishing and boating. So without any further discussion, I'll go straight into the slides, and at the end we will be able to get back to you with any questions, and as Marcello said, you can get back to look at this and review any of the information at any time. So firstly, what we are introducing to these units what are known as Navionics advanced features, being Sonarchart Live, Dock-to-Dock Autorouting, advanced map options and plotter sync. These features are exclusive to Navionics charts. You must have a current chart that has active fresh data subscription and the latest operating software for a compatible Navico unit. At the end of the presentation, I will put a list up of what units are compatible. To get the latest software, you can simply download it from the support section on your relevant brand of plotter. And new units being sold, of course, already come with these features. To get an updated Navionics chart, you can do that through your local Navionics distributor or retailer. Let's have a close look at each of the features. Sonarchart Live is a progression of Navionics sonar charts which we've had in place for quite some time. Sonarchart is high density, half-metre bathymetric maps The big difference with Sonarchart Live, this is doing it in real time. So the maps are created by converting the sonar returns off your transducer into a highly detailed map in front of your eyes. So there's no uploading of data and waiting for it to be processed and then you can re-download it. It's real time on your screen as you're on the fly. So absolutely ideal for fishing a new location, navigating areas that have limited detail. So it raises your awareness of those shallow areas where you're looking for that high definition detail of bottom structure, holes, drop-offs, all those sorts of things for fishing. Or another practical thing for cruising is if you're moving into a reef area that has very low survey data, then you can create yourself a really good map that will give you a lot of detail. The new Sonarchart Live map is an additional layer. It comes in over the existing Navionics Nautical and Sonarchart, stores it on the chart card, and you can review and use it every time you're on the water. If you go back to that same spot, run over it again, and it picks up any difference in detail, it will redraw that chart to reflect the extra detail that it's picked up. If there's no change to the detail there, then there'll be no change to the map. So Sonarchart Live, basically create your own real-time map. This shot here is basically showing what Sonarchart Live looks like over a normal Sonarchart chart layer. So you can see there that there is quite a level of higher detail because it's picking up every single little bit of detail off the sonar. To really see this in action well is split screening. You split screen between Sonarchart Live and your sonar, and you can see the bottom detail changing off your sonar being redrawn in front of your eyes. A good example here is even very minute detail. This is another split screen with just a small lump that's a matter of meters across, and you can see it being redrawn on the chart there with a depth, and that's instantly. Just got a little bit of a real-time example here. This here is a standard nautical chart, and this is some stuff I did a few weeks back on an inland dam where there has been very little survey data done. There's never been a hydrographic office survey done. There's never been a big Navy ship in there to do the survey. So that's what our standard nautical chart does. It's got some detail, not a lot. We go to a Sonarchart level. It's got a little bit more contour detail there. But then the next step is that's what the Sonarchart looks like over the top of the existing charts. And this is a pretty extreme example because there's literally very, very limited data for that area. What we've got to look at how this was created. If you look into your chart menu, you'll see in the overlay section of the menu that you can go into overlays, pick Sonarchart Live, and then that turns on your Sonarchart. So the example I've got here, you can see the trails of this area that we were working over pretty hard fishing for a few hours. And you can see there the level of detail that's now come in over the top of the existing chart. If I remove the trail to clean that up, you can see there the very detailed chart. The area in question has a lot of ledges, a lot of rocks, and you can see from that the level of detail is quite good. That's a further zoom in on that same chart area down to 20 meters. And you can see there, once again, looking at it with your sonar on at the same time, you can really see it drawing exactly what the sonar is showing. Something I always like doing is analysing my fishing. So you can see there I've marked all my spots as I fish, and basically I can go back afterwards and analyse what areas of that bay that they came out of, what depths, there's, you know, reoccurring structure that maybe I might want to target for future fishing. So this chart in itself, there's two ways you can use Sonarchart. I was fishing an area I knew, but you can do it in reverse, in that you go out and do your survey first, create this chart, and then determine where you want to target. And naturally, once you find your you know, common things that are happening, you might find that fish are holding at a certain depth or on a bank at a certain angle, depending on current or anything like that. Then you can start looking for similar structure. So that's what that area looks like without Sonarchart Live. So, you know, it's quite dramatic what that's done. That's the same zoom level, exactly the same chart area. Dock-to-Dock Autorouting, that's one of the other big features of Navionics advanced options. It's something we've had for quite a while now on the Navionics boating app. It's been recognised with many awards and nominations for awards, but basically it's a smarter version of auto-routing. It takes in very precise information about depth, channels in terms of channel depths and widths. It will take into consideration your vessel parameters, so you know, your draft, your beam, height, a whole lot of things that will allow dock-to-dock auto-routing make some decisions on an intelligent and detailed route that will take you safely from one place to another. We'll just have a quick look on how to do dock-to-dock auto-routing. Within your chart menu on your unit, first thing you need to do is go in and set your boat settings up. Once you've done your boat settings, you can save your length, your draft, width and height and save them in. Once that's done, it's saved forever and a day, unless you want to go in and modify it if you're changing vessels or doing anything like that. So that's the first step you need to do, is ensure that you do have those vessel settings in there. From there, in your chart menu, you select New, then it's New Route, Dock-to-Dock Auto-Routing. And the first step from there is to just place your first waypoint where you're starting from. All these modern units with touchscreens, you just touch and hold on the screen at that position, and then that will create the first waypoint. The second waypoint, or last waypoint, same thing, you just go to your destination, press and hold the screen again to create the end point. From there, the next menu is just selecting to the entire route, and what this will then do is calculate that route. So with the route calculation, it can take up to a couple of minutes. It depends on the complexity of the route. The routes that are created are highly detailed in terms of the number of legs and waypoints that are put into them. So naturally, the more turns and obstacles that need to be avoided, it will take a little bit longer to calculate. I've managed to lock a unit up by trying to calculate a route from here to Thailand in one hit. It took a very long time to calculate that route. Once the route is calculated, it will come up with a message saying that dock-to-dock auto-routing is successful, and then you just hit OK. From there, you'll have the ability, then it will show you the route. What we're looking here on the screen is all those little green circles, waypoints in that route. The one thing that we're highlighting here is it will bring up a warning symbol for anything that you need to be aware of and check. And these are things, in this instance, it's showing that there's a bridge and you need to check the clearance. These things are not necessarily items that might affect your vessel, but it's just giving you a heads up to say, hey, have a look at this to double check. So you will see some routes you might not see any warning messages, others you might see multiples because you're transiting areas that are very hazardous or have depths that are becoming close to your minimum depth and or beam or whatever. But you can just hover the cursor over that that feature and it'll bring up that pop-up menu to say, you know, what to check. This is looking at the entire route. It's a bit hard to see because it's zoomed right out, but this was a route in Sydney going from up Parramatta River all the way around into Middle Harbour. So you can see that there's a lot of those green dots and the green lines in between. At this point, the top right of the screen is showing that you can keep the route. So if you decide to keep the route, the next stage will allow you to save the route. If you decide that you don't want to keep the route, well then you can just discard and redo another route. From there, once you save it, you can name the route, and that's simple. That's just a normal creating a route situation, but it just reverts that dock-to-dock route straight into the menu. From there, you can go into your saved routes at any time and pick up that route. Now, the interesting thing to look at that screen there is that that route has been created over 19.3 kilometres with 55 legs in it. So it is quite a detailed route. From there, if you want to start the route, you just select that route, hit start. You can do it in forward or reverse, depending on which end of the route you're at, and off you go. So Dock-to-Dock is you know, a very advanced algorithm. I've tried it myself on some pretty detailed routes that I know of, and it's actually come up with some very good routes that I would, as someone with local knowledge, use. So yeah, it is contingent on once again having your vessel data in there. If there is something within the route that contradicts, so like if it's taking you through an area where it's close to your draft, or it won't even calculate a route if the way you want to go will not allow it based on, you know, minimum depths on the chart and your maximum depth. The advanced map options, that's another part to the new offerings for the Navico brands. Engineered mainly for anglers. So the advanced map options gives the users ability to customize the charts a lot more. You can change your presentation to select a fishing range, highlight shallow areas, which is something that is good for both anglers and for navigators. And you can also adjust the Sonarchart contour density. Sonarcharts being a half-metre contours. If you're in an area with very steep drop-offs, well then they get very compressed up, the contours, and can look like a really dark black single line because the drop is so vertical. But generally, by being able to highlight specific areas, that's good for navigation, but also for identifying an ideal fishing range if you find that fish are holding in a certain depth. Just having a look at the one of the advanced options. This is transparency of the Sonarchart live. When you put down a Sonarchart live, this is the same one we were looking at before. This is on minimum transparency, so there's no underlying map showing through the Sonarchart live. When we go to around about a 50% transparency, you can start seeing the contour lines underneath the Sonarchart live, and then as you move to maximum transparency, you're then seeing all chart detail underneath the Sonarchart live. This one is your minimum depth highlight. So what I've done here on that same chart is I've highlighted a minimum depth of 13 feet. So this is going to show me any depths under 13 feet, and you can see the transgression in the red there, so the brighter red for the really shallow stuff, then fading out to a lighter colour for as it gets deeper. So you can see in the middle to top left of that, there's a really bright section there, which is a couple of pinnacles sitting up. And then it fades off into the shoaling areas around it. The fishing range is quite simple. You just go into the fishing range menu. You can pick a minimum and a maximum depth, and it will basically give you a shaded highlight of the depths in that range only. So that way you're just highlighting a target depth that you want to use. Okay, plotter sync is our fourth feature coming with all this. It's the capability to sync the Navionics boating app, which is on iPhone or Android, with your Navico unit. So by creating a Wi-Fi link between the fish finder or the chart plotter and your mobile device, you'll be able to update your charts, transfer your routes and markers between the two devices. It's a pretty good feature because a lot of people have the Navionics boating app, but it also means that you can do a lot of your route planning or even putting waypoints into a map on your iPad, comfort of your home or in the yacht club bar or at the pub or whatever. So you can then transfer them down to the unit when you get on the boat, and vice versa. If you go for a day out, create routes, take a lot of waypoints, you can upload them back into the app. So basically, this feature is still in testing, but is due for a release soon. And then you'll be able to do all those functions, but just keep your eye out with our Facebook pages and websites, and we'll be notifying when that's ready to go. Sonarchart Live on mobile. This is another feature with these units because they're Wi-Fi enabled. You can actually do Sonarchart Live on a mobile device. So you connect via Wi-Fi your mobile device to the chart plotter or the fish finder, and it will then allow you to do Sonarcharts live on the tablet or the iPhone or however you want to do it, whatever device. And it works exactly the same way as how it works on the fish finder or chart plotter screen. So that feature's up and running now, and it just gives you another dimension that you can do Sonarchart live on that device anywhere on the vessel as well. If you've got an older Lowrance, Simrad or B&G unit, they can be done this way, but you need to purchase the Go Free Wi-Fi module because those units aren't internally set up with Wi-Fi, but you can buy a external add-on Go Free module to be able to Wi-Fi out to the app. And so the app's basically just doing exactly the same thing. The on-screen one is that it's taking the depth data off the transducer to be able to create that map. Compatibility, we discussed a little bit earlier. This is where we are with compatibility. With the Lowrance units, it's Lowrance Elite TI 9 and 12, which hasn't actually been released. It is coming soon. Currently available on Lowrance Elite 5 TI and 7 TI. It's available on all Lowrance HDS Gen 3. It's available on the new Lowrance HDS Carbon as well. For B&G, it's available on B&G Zeus 2, Zeus 3 and the Vulcan. And for Simrad with NSS Evo 2, Evo 3, NSO Evo 2 and the Simrad Go. So that's the three Navico brands that this is compatible with. once again, it is exclusive to Navionics, these features. And to be able to get that software, if you've got an existing unit, you can just download that software from each of those manufacturers' websites on their support pages. So thank you. That's pretty much the features. I hope we've covered it well, and I'll hand over back to Marcello, and we can have a bit of a look at any questions that people might have.
Thank you, John. Yeah, we received quite a lot of questions, and I'm starting now answering to the first one, and I will hand over some others to you. We may not be able to answer to all of them because there are quite a lot. So the first question that we received, it was from John, and he said, when we complete a Sonarchart live during our fishing trip, then what is the time frame to obtain the new Sonarchart's layer out of the Navionics services? Now, in general, this time is in the range of 7 days. In a week, Navionics is preparing the new data that will be delivered through the web store and to update the charts. Now, it's important to note that the only way to send Navionics the data from a Navico unit, namely Lowrance, Simrad and B&G, is to keep your mobile device connected to the plotter during your fishing trip. That means you have your Navionics app, you connect the Navionics app to the Lowrance or Simrad or B&G device, you keep it connected and make the Sonarchart live on your device, even if you don't see it in your pocket. This brings automatically to Navionics, once you are back home under the cell coverage, the data that will be processed by Navionics and integrated into the Sonarchart layer, as I said, normally in a time frame of a week. Okay, so this is one of the first question. The other question is from the same customer: how does the community edits work? How are they shared? Are they available to all of the people in the community? Now, John, if you want to answer to this, please.
Yeah, so any community edits that you put in, so in terms of fishing spots or good anchorage spots or anything like that, yes, they are shared with the community. So you enter them in via your app, and then you know, they're uploaded to Navionics. There is a little bit of scrutiny put into them, particularly if someone is you know, placing it close to a channel marker or something like that. But yes, any community edits are included into everyone once they've been included into the main data set.
Yeah, attached to this question, another customer is asking, does it need internet? To insert the community edits in your mobile device, it's not required internet. So once you are out in the sea and you insert your community edits on your mobile device or through the Navionics app, it does not require internet access. However, to be able to share this community edit with the other person that are Navionics user, then it's required the internet access. But this is just automatic. Once you are back at your house or at your dock, when you are under cell coverage, then automatically these points that you inserted are shared with the community. Of course, if you have given your authorization to that. But during the session of putting in the mobile app the community edits, it's not required the internet. Similarly, after 1 day, you can download those points the community edits in your card, either on the web store of Navionics or even through the plotter sync feature that will be soon available on the devices of Lowrance, B&G, and Simrad as well. So,
Marcello, do you think we can, what we might do is if we can just stick to the questions that relate to the new features, and anything like that we can redress outside of this, we can get back to that person. So I'm really keen to see what people want to know about Sonarchart's Live and auto Dock-to-Dock, all that sort of thing.
Okay, so there is a question regarding Sonarchart Live that has been quite the cool feature now, the new feature. The question is, can we use a blank card? If there is no map of Navionics in that area, can we use just a blank card to make or to perform the function of Sonarchart Live?
All right, okay, so number one, you need to have a Navionics chart to make Sonarchart Live work. It has to be a current Navionics chart. So even if you go to an area that hasn't got any data at all, so it's a very small dam way inland, it will create a Sonarchart Live file, but you do need to have a Navionics chart in there, and it needs to have it in its current subscription period.
Okay, another question is about let's say an area that is poorly charted or just have a lot of dry areas without details and there big tides. Is it possible to perform Sonarchart Live also in that area, even if there is in the card there is a dry area and there is quite a high tide range?
Yes, once again, it'll work in any area. If it's picking up sonar readings, it's translating them into the chart, the Sonarchart Live presentation, basically. So yes, if you're up a river somewhere that has massive tidal ranges, say like up in Northern Territory or anything like that, it will work off the data that it's receiving off your sonar to draw that chart.
Okay. The other question about Sonarchart Live, does Sonarchart Live continue to work if the Navionics card subscription, that is the free update for 1 year, ends?
No, it doesn't. And you need to have once again, you have to have a current subscription. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, and the biggest one is Dock-to-Dock Autorouting, which is rolled into this advanced package and advanced map options. If the data is old, then it's compromising the safety if the charts have been changed and it's calculating a route. So yeah, you have to have a current Navionics subscription on the chart card.
Okay, so there is another question that is Sonarchart Live also linked to the Inside Genesis map?
No, it's a totally separate to Insight Genesis, because this is live charting and it's drawing, it actually saves on your Navionics chart card. It doesn't save in the hard drive of the unit. The other thing to be aware of, and Marcello touched on this earlier, is that there is no sharing of data here between Navico and Navionics or vice versa. The only way for any data to be uploaded to Navionics is via the mobile app if you do Sonarchart's Live on that. But the Sonarchart Live file, it's saved on your chart card, it stays on your chart card, and as opposed to Insight where you've got to upload that and then re-download for use. This is done instantly and stays on your card. So if you go back to an area 6 months down the track, it will be there.
Okay, other question is the Sonarchart Live data shared with the community?
Well, we just answered that one, and the only The only data that is shared is if it comes off the Sonarchart live function on the mobile app, not if it's sitting on the Lowrance or the Simrad or the B&G unit. So there's pretty much, if you're doing it on your Lowrance screen, it's a private map. Yeah, it's going to be yours and yours only. Yeah, in the future we would think that there's functionality coming to be able to share it. But one thing I will tell you, if you take that chart out of your Lowrance unit and you put it into another Simrad unit that is capable of doing Sonarcharts live, they will be able to have it visible on that unit, but it stays with the card, not the unit.
Yeah. Another question is about the time available to perform Sonarchart live. So do we have any, is asking if we do have an idea of the hours that are allowed to do Sonarchart live in the unit itself?
Yep. Really good question, and one that keeps coming up. This is the #1 question. We've done some calculations. Sonar files are very small. They're kilobytes in sizes, so they don't take up a lot of memory. Our calculation at the moment on the current platinum cards that we run in Australia and New Zealand, they've got a minimum of 1 gigabyte of file space. And that is the only limiting factor here is file space. So we've worked out roughly it's about 20 kilobytes an hour. So we've worked out that 1 gigabyte is about 50,000 hours of recording. Personally, I think that's a really good thing to strive for in your life. But yeah, there's the average person on the water is not going to use that amount of space.
So it's really almost unlimited, I mean, in practical terms. Then there is another question on the different subject of Dock-to-Dock Autorouting. So is Dock-to-Dock Autorouting use the minimum type heights? I can answer to this, yes. I mean, to be on the safe side, we use the minimum type heights to perform the whole calculation of the Dock-to-Dock Autorouting. Okay. Let me see if there are other minimum and strong important questions. There is a person that would like to know if there are Navionics charts available for Malaysia. So we just go to on another subject.
Yes, there is. Navionics charts are available the world over, and we have many dealers up in Asia. If you have a look at our dealer locator on either navionics.com or navionics.com.au websites, yes, they'll be able to assist you with getting a chart for anywhere in Asia. We cover basically Indian Ocean and South China Sea, also China and Japan, so we're well covered for the whole Asian region.
Okay, so the other question is about Dock-to-Dock Autorouting. So Dock-to-Dock Autorouting is able to link to the autopilot, and does it need confirmation from leg to leg, or just goes automatically? You know, to change the direction through the various waypoints.
Okay, so Dock-to-Dock Autorouting, as per what I showed in the presentation, just creates a normal route. Once you've saved it, it saves like a normal route in your route menu, and then it'll operate in every way the same as what it would have been if you had gone in and put in all the individual waypoints yourself. So once you've reviewed the route and accepted and saved the route, it just saves in like a normal route.
Yes. Another question on Sonarchart Live. On an HDS Carbon, new model, we can have two cards, an Navionics card and Insight Genesis card. To make Sonarchart Live, we need to have the Navionics card selected on it.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, you must have the Navionics card selected.
Yeah.
Then a question from a customer called Mark. can you run Sonarchart Live and structure scan at the same time?
Sure can. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about all the units these days is the ability to split screens. Yeah, I run it myself with Sonarchart Live, standard sonar image, and then structure scan. So it's just a matter of splitting your screens up.
Okay, so there is another customer, Steven, that says, I've just updated my old card at the end of last year. Will Sonarchart Live work, or do I need to do an update subscription?
If you updated your card at the end of last year, you would still be within your 12-month subscription period. So as long as you registered the card when you first got it, and you're eligible to update it, yeah, it can be used, no problem at all. If your fresh data period has expired, then you need to renew so that you can have an active subscription.
Yeah, another customer is asking, can I upgrade my old Platinum card free of charge to one with a bigger storage capacity?
Okay, so it would depend on what you've got, but I mean, usually we have an upgrade process for Platinum where you trade the card in, and then we sell you a new card at half price. That gets you a brand new card on the latest media with 12 months of free updates.
Yeah, this is an interesting question from a customer that is dealing with the accuracy of Sonarchart Live measurement.
Right.
The question is the following: for the purpose of accuracy, is there anywhere within software in the chart plotter to define the horizontal distance between the position source and the transducer? This may be a significant distance on a large boat. At this very moment, there is no setting of this distance, but I feel important to record these questions because we may need to work together with Lowrance, B&G, and Simrad to define a further feature, because we know that sometimes you have, let's say, the plotter with the GPS fix far away from the transducer itself, and then can generate some inaccuracy in the Sonarchart Live processing.
That's beyond me. That's for the engineers, that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing I don't get with that is, okay, if I get the question right, we're talking about distance between the transducer and the head unit. Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, the point is that sometimes you have the transducer just at the back of the boat, and then you have the chart plotter and GPS quite in front, and having a large boat, you may have even a distance of, I don't know, 8 meters, 10 meters, something like that. And that brings a sort of inaccuracy in the displacement, in the generation of the Sonarchart Live. So this is an interesting question that we may have to work on together with Navico. Okay?
Well, I mean, the thing with that is it's quite simple. I mean, sonar at the moment is historic, and we're seeing a lot of the new ones come out now with real-time sonar. That's the next generation of sonar, and how that then relates to Sonarchart Live.
Yeah. So there is another question from Christopher that due to Australia not having a lake map charting like the US, can Navionics use data collected on Australian lakes and dams to create charts for use by other system users, for example?
100%, and yes, you can. And there's many lakes out there that have been fully mapped by users and now have quite detailed charts. Now, the way to do that is you need to be actually either using Sonarchart Live on the app for that data to be uploaded, or if you've got a unit that is able to record sonar logs in a format that Navionics can accept, and then you can upload those sonar logs via the Navionics chart installer online. There's been a lot of dams around that the detail exists solely from user uploaded sonar logs.
Yeah, we have a last question here that will unit with a non-updated Navionics card connected by Wi-Fi to a phone with an updated Navionics boating app be able to show Sonarchart Live on the boating app itself?
Okay, so the answer to that, I think, is no. Is that right, Marcello? Like, because
in this case, it's possible. That means if you want to see Sonarchart Live just on your phone app or in your tablets, but you don't see it on the GPS plotter, provided that you have an active subscription on your phone and you are connected with the GPS plotter or fish finder, in that case it works. In that case it works. Of course, you don't have the Sonarchart Live experience directly on the chart plotter, the GPS plotter.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And last question is: do I have multiple subscription for iPad and multifunction display?
Answer is yes. They're two totally different platforms. We have a chart card, and then you have a mobile app, and the only way to buy a mobile app is via the respective app stores, but it's also a totally different operating platform. So yes, they are two different beasts, basically.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up because I don't have any other question. We may have some questions that are still to be answered, and they will be answered in the following days. So again, I would like to thank you, all the participants, the attendees, and also I would like to thank you, John, to participate here. I know that it's very late. Here I am in Italy, but you guys are already at the time of dinner over in Australia. We will post on the YouTube channels very soon also the registration of this webinar. And see you for the next time. We will have a list of webinars coming for English-speaking persons. You will see the list in our website. Thank you again for your participation and for you sending so many questions to us.
And can I just add one thing?
Sure.
Basically, you can come and see us at any of the boat shows coming up. We'll be at the Auckland Boat Show, the Hutch Wilco Auckland Boat Show. We'll be at Sanctuary Cove Boat Show. We will be at Sydney Boat Show. We will be at Perth Boat Show. We'll have dealers in attendance at the Melbourne Boat Show, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to come and see all these features and talk to us as well.
Thank you. And have a good fishing, of course.
Okay, thank you, Marcello.
Bye.